What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to On the Ball and welcome back to another video. And today we are going to be looking at what the hell is going on at Man United right now. Eric Ten Hag is in his second season off the back of finishing third and winning a Carabao Cup last season. They've signed the likes of Andre Onana, Sofiane Amrabat, Rasmus Højlund for big money this summer, with Man United expected to push on. Last night they lost 3-2 to Galatasaray at home in what makes them bottom of their Champions League group with 2 out of 2 losses. They currently sit 10th in the Premier League, having lost 4 of their first 7 games. And Ten Hag got the dreaded vote of confidence from the board last night, saying that they still believe he is the right man for the job, which makes me think he's even more on the brink. But Ben, how can we break down what is going wrong at Man United right now? How has it gone so wrong so early on this season?
I don't think it's a new thing at Manchester United, to be honest. I think this has been going on for a long time. If you look at the previous managers that they've had, Jose Mourinho, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and now Ten Hag, they all had initial good seasons where they had like kind of a burst. They finished second, finished third, and then it all fell off the next season. And I think this is exactly what you're seeing with Eric Ten Hag now. It's basically a result of poor planning, poor transfers. Everything to do with the club is absolutely completely wrong from top to bottom. The stadium is essentially falling down, getting drips of water through, which, you know, back in the day when we were growing up, Old Trafford was the best stadium in the Premier League, and they just haven't kept the standards up. You're looking at the transfers. I mean, you just look at this summer's transfers, for instance. Mason Mount, 65 million from Chelsea. I think anyone could have told you that wasn't going to go the way they wanted it to go. Andre Onana, on the face of it, it looked like a good transfer, but he just has been terrible since joining for one reason or another. Johnny Evans, back at the club after all these years. What, are we back in 2008 now or something? Why is Johnny Evans back at the club? Sergio Reguilon, the Sergio Reguilon transfer, I know it's only a loan and potentially only till January, but I think it represents so much more than just a filling in spot just at left back for Luke Shaw's injury. They used to take our best players. They used to literally come to us and cherry pick our best players, the Dimitar Berbatovs, the Michael Carricks, the Teddy Sheringhams. And now they're taking a player that has fallen by the wayside at Tottenham to fill in gaps for their team. So you're looking at what they're doing in the transfer market. And this is not what a Manchester United, the most decorated club in England, should be doing. They should be going for top talent from around Europe and around the Premier League. And they should be fighting Man City, and they should be fighting Arsenal and Liverpool for titles at the top of the table. But I just think it's just gone so wrong for them since Fergie has gone, and they've never seemed to really be able to recover. You look at Arsenal since Wenger has gone, it went a similar way, but they've seemed to recover a little bit since Arteta has come in, you know, a title challenge last year back in the Champions League. Man United have always like kind of flirted with coming back, but they've never actually fully come back. And I think it's a culmination of the decisions that the owners make at Manchester United. You see the protests week in, week out against the Glazers. And you're seeing on the pitch why these kind of protests are happening. And I think it's just a terrible way to run a football club from top to bottom. I don't think they've got anything right, to be honest. And it's just, if you're a Man United fan, it's a sad state of affairs, and you're thinking, are we ever going to get back to the big time with Manchester City? Kind of the gap is getting bigger and bigger between the two clubs as every season progresses. I don't know. I don't think they're going to get back there anytime soon.
But to counteract what you're saying, since Ten Hag has come in his 2 years, in his 2 windows, summer windows, he spent nearly 450 million. Some of the signings including Anthony, Casemiro, Lisandro Martinez, Christian Eriksen, Andre Onana, Rasmus Højlund, Sofian Amrabat, who he's managed recently. All these players, can we really say they're not Ten Hag signings? And are we saying that these are players Ten Hag didn't want and hasn't been asked for? Because these are all players largely who he's either managed before or are big names. And and considering the amount of money, like, what more can the Glazers do than give Ten Hag what he wants? And that's seemingly what they've been doing, I think, in these transfer windows, in my opinion. I think a lot of those players I just named, he managed before. So are we saying that he didn't want those players, the ones that he's previously managed? Are we saying that they haven't spent enough money? I mean, in the 2 years that Ten Hag has been in charge, what more could the Glazers have done to help him?
I don't think they've targeted signings in the right place. I don't think they've got a squad, a balanced squad where you can say, all right, you can go fight for the title now. I think they've got cherry-picked players here and there, which are really good players, like Varane and Casemiro, Højlund, Sofian Amrabat, which Højlund and Amrabat have just come into the team. But I think they've got like cherry-picked players where they are very good in isolation, but they don't have a team. They don't have a like options all over the pitch where you can say they can go and fight Man City for a title, and that's essentially where they should be right now.
Yeah, but there's one thing fighting for a title, and there's one thing being 10th in the league, having lost 4 of your first 7 games. And I don't understand why they're this bad. And you look at other teams like Brighton potentially, and even Spurs at the moment, who were very early on in the project, and they seem to be playing with an identity at the moment, and they seem to be playing with a style of football that the fans are appreciating, even with less time than Ten Hag has done. And I know Ten Hag maybe doesn't have maybe all the players, but he definitely pushed for the Antony move, which completely has flopped at the moment. He was the one who's been pushing for Onana, who's had a very bad start to his career at Man United. Despite, look, I think he's a good player, but he's had a very difficult start. Had a shocking game yesterday against Galatasaray in the Champions League. But the big thing is when I look at them on the pitch, there doesn't seem to be a proper identity of how I can see a Man United team playing. Ten Hag promised to bring the style of football that he had at Ajax into this Man United team, and you could argue that Ajax team was a very good team, but did Ajax have better players than what Man United have right now? If you look at their squad overall, and when you're comparing what Man United have compared to other teams, and other teams are able to play better football than them, you have to question what Ten Hag is doing on the training pitch if he can't manage to work out a footballing philosophy with this current team. Surely that's got to be questioned.
Of course it's got to be questioned. 100% it's got to be questioned. But how many times are we just going to keep questioning every single manager that comes through the door? The same thing seems to be happening with every single manager. So the problems have got to go deeper, in my opinion, than the manager. Like I said before, same thing happened with Jose, same thing happened with Oli, and the same thing is happening with Ten Hag now. So yes, you can question Ten Hag because the results are not good enough, the tactics aren't good enough, and the results on the pitch aren't good enough. But when the same thing keeps happening with every single manager, you've got to ask more questions as opposed to, does this go further than the manager? And I think it does.
Do you think Ten Hag as well has some to blame when it comes to his man management? Dealing with the Sancho situation, maybe that could have been dealt with better. Has that affected things in the squad as well? Sancho, he's probably friends with a lot of the members of the squad, like Rashford and some of the other members as well. And how Ten Hag has called him out publicly and banished him from the squad. Could that have been dealt with better?
100%, it could have been dealt with better. To be honest, I don't think they were dealt with in the best ways. He seems to have a knack of falling out with players, which ain't a great thing when things are already as bad as they are. But you go back to your point about is this Ajax team? But it was his Ajax team had better personnel than this Manchester United team. I mean, you just look at the top players that they had in that team. Mazraoui, who's a leading star in Bayern Munich now. Jurriën Timber, who's just got a massive move to Arsenal. Martinez, who he's got there at United. Gravenberch, Haller at Dortmund. Alvarez is in the Premier League now. I mean, they had a top team there, but it's a very different kettle of fish managing Ajax to going and managing Manchester United. Managing Ajax, you're being asked to bring through youth players through the academy who are going to try their hardest to make things work in the start of their career. Coming into like a depressed Man United side where they kind of think they should be one of the biggest teams in England, but they're essentially not because they just can't get that monkey off their back and challenge for a title. They are trying. He's trying to manage egos now at Manchester United, and I don't think he's ever done that in his career. He didn't do that at Ajax. Ajax wasn't about managing egos. That was about nurturing talent. Now it's changed, and he's gone to a much bigger club where the ambitions are higher, and essentially he can't really match those ambitions because I don't think he's been given enough from the board. I think Ronaldo, when he was doing that Piers interview, he says the training ground is exactly the same as when I left it. All these kind of things, they make a big difference. Like you got to bring the club into the modern era. You got to as much as you got to act like a big club on the pitch, you got to act like it off the pitch as well. That's where Spurs have got it a bit wrong in the other sense. We act like it off the pitch, but we don't act like it sometimes on the pitch. I think Manchester United are not doing it in either. Maybe they are a bit more on the pitch than off the pitch, but it's not kind of relating on the pitch, is it? So it's a difficult situation. I'm not sure if Ten Hag is the right man for the job because I'm not sure if he can manage the egos, and he seems to be fighting with players way too much that have those big egos. So I don't know. It's a very difficult situation, and if they do sack Ten Hag, I'm not really sure where they go from there and what kind of manager they bring in.
Yeah, it's I can't think off the top of my head what kind of manager is a really good fit for Man United. And not if you're going to go for like a top class one like Nagelsmann. Who? Conte? Maybe they go back to Conte. He might be able to get them back into a top 4 challenge. But the big thing with Ten Hag at the moment is not necessarily like it's more about they seem to be going backwards. I remember last season, right? They lost their first 2 games against Brighton and Brentford, and they then went on and turned it around and went on a very good run after that, and obviously got their way into the top. They finished top 3, and they won a Carabao Cup as well. And then they had a poor start to this season, first couple games, and people are saying, well, look at last season. We had a bad start, we turned it around, but it's now 7 games in, they've lost 4 of them. They didn't lose 4 of their first 7 games last season. Like, what? Why is it started? Why are they going backwards? They spent money this summer. Højlund looks like a good player. Nana was the keeper of Ten Hag's choice. Amrabat is there as well. Maybe you can blame injuries, but Mason Mount apparently was very much one of Ten Hag's chosen players as well. But he's had a few injuries as well. But how are they going so backwards so quickly? I mean, one more bad result in the Champions League, they could find themselves out very quickly. And all of a sudden, we can be sitting here, they could be out the Champions League, and right now, they're 7 points off the top 4. So in a couple months' time, we could be sitting here, and they could be out the Champions League and out the top 4 race.
Yeah, I know. And like I said, this keeps happening with every single Manchester United manager. So questions have not just got to be asked of the management. Questions have got to be asked of every single facet running that run Manchester United. It really does, because the Man U fans, they want Glazers out for a reason, and it's not just a new thing. This has been going on for many years. The same things keep happening. And I don't know, I just feel like it's a culmination of decisions that the Glazers makes from time to time, over and over again, and the same results keep happening. So I do put a bit of blame on Ten Hag, but I don't think solely the blame goes on Ten Hag. I think there are bigger issues there.
Yeah, but the owners aren't going to sack themselves, are they? That's the reality.
They need to sell the club. They were looking to sell the club. What happened to that?
Yeah, it looks like it's been taken off the market at the moment. So at the end of the day, you've got to look about what's happening on the pitch, and there's obviously deeper. You can say there's deeper reasons, but look, Arsenal were protesting week in, week out about their owners, but you don't see them complaining anymore now that they've turned a corner, and Arteta's doing very well as well. Like, these situations can be very fluid, and I know they've been complaining about the Glazers for decades, and it's not a thing which even if they do well, that will go away immediately. But the Glazers, I think, have spent money on Ten Hag who on players that Ten Hag wants. And people like Anthony, Ten Hag surely has to take responsibility for that. The fact that Anthony's massively flopped. Like, I don't think anyone else, you can really blame anyone else but Ten Hag, who definitely must have been the driving force for that kind of signing. And he clearly isn't suited to the Premier League. So, I don't know. I think Ten Hag is in big trouble. Things have to turn very, very quickly. And if they don't, he can find himself out of a job very, very soon. But the thing is with Man United...
He will be out of a job. I said it like a month ago. Like, this guy is going to lose his job this season. You can just see it. The writing's on the wall. You can see it in his demeanor. You can see it in the results. You can see it in every single way, and you can see it with the way the team are playing on the pitch. So,
but
I don't think he lasts a few months.
They surely can't have another situation like when they sacked Oli, though, where they sack him without a plan. They appoint Ragnick for a few months just to see out the season, and pretty much the season peters out because no one really respects Ragnick because he's only a part-time manager, and he wasn't good enough to turn it around. And then they basically waited for the right guy for Ten Hag to turn up. But like, surely, if you're going to sack Ten Hag, you have to have some sort of plan. You can't just sack him and just go like tread water like they did last time, because that's just another season down the drain. They have to have some sort of plan.
I think what they do, if they don't have a manager in mind for the long term, I genuinely think go pick up Conte until the end of the season, and then as a very short term solution, Conte till the end of the season. It gives them a long time to find a long term successor for Ten Hag.
And maybe he could get them in the short term top 4, but they just got to be careful trying trusting him in the long term, because at the moment he doesn't seem to stay at places for the long term. But the problem is, if they go for Ten Hag, if they go for Conte, he plays a back 3 system. Do they have the players for the wing back? I don't see any wing backs in that squad. I don't see any good wing backs in that squad. Reguilon he hated. Obviously Luke Shaw's injured. Right back you got Dalot and Wan-Bissaka.
I think Luke Shaw and Dalot could do the job.
Dalot is a wing back.
Why not?
I don't think so. You need to be offensive. He's not a very offensive player, Dalot. You need to be more like a winger. Maybe have they got a winger in the squad who could do the wing back slot? I don't know. I've got reservations whether they got the players for it. Anthony, yeah, right. I can't. I just don't think they got the players for Conte's system. So I don't know. I think it might be a mistake. But then if Ten Hag does go, I'm looking around. It's slim pickings. I mean, Nagelsmann's now looks like he's going to go to Germany, so I don't think he's going to be on the table right now. Maybe someone from left field, like what we did with Ange. Maybe they just got a play. Arne Slot, maybe someone who's a bit under the radar, someone who's not an obvious name, but just Man United always attracted by the big names, aren't they? So I don't know. But look,
I got a good name. Seeing as they like to take our Snicklefritz now, they may as well appoint Ryan Mason.
What a great appointment that would be. Look, he got a draw against Man United last season, so maybe it wouldn't be the worst appointment. I can't really think. Maybe a return for Jose. I don't know. I can't think of who they would appoint, but I think Man United clearly are in a mess right now. They could be heading out the Champions League. They could be heading out the top 4 if things don't turn very quickly. But let me know in the comment section below what is going on at Man United. Will Ten Hag last the season? Or if he won't, how many games does he have left? Let me know in the comment section below. But thank you for joining us for another video, and we'll see you very soon.